So as many of you know, we now have a new little polar bear cub here at the Columbus Zoo. It was born on Thanksgiving morning, very, very early in the morning, and it is doing great. It was born to Mother Aurora, who is 13 years old and is an experienced mom, so she is doing great just as we thought she would. She's lying with the cub for all but really a few minutes a day. She's helping it nurse, grooming it, and nesting in her bed, making it all nice and fluffy for them. She's just doing great. One of the things we're most excited about is our 20-year-old male polar bear, Lee, who came to us last fall, is a first-time dad. So he came to us from Denver, so they were one of the first calls that we made when we found out Lee is a dad, because we knew they would be just as excited as we are.
In the Arctic, female polar bears who have bred will go into the den sometime in the fall. They will dig out a nice den in the snow or the ice, and it's really tight corners, and that is where the female will stay from anywhere for about 4 to 8 months. While she's in the den, the female will give birth to cubs, typically twins, and that is where she will nurse them pretty much around the clock for the first 3 to 4 months of the cub's life. So cubs, when they're born, they're about 1 pound. They're really, really tiny. They completely depend on mom. So they don't really have much hair. They cannot thermoregulate, so they rely on mom to keep them nice and toasty and warm. Here at the zoo, we obviously don't have a snowy ice den for our females, but what we do have is a nice small room. We call it our den here, and it's cold, it's dark, it's nice and tiny, and that's so that our females feel comfortable in the den, just like a female in the Arctic would. Aurora knows in the fall, she starts to, get a little bit antsy and kind of lets us know that she's ready to start the denning process. And so we let her in there, and then we keep it nice and cold, we keep it nice and dark. Again, we try to emulate what happens in the Arctic as much as we possibly can.
So once our potential moms are all the way in their dens, we continue watching them from the cameras, and we keep close track of their behavior. They actually sleep over 20 hours in the dens when they are pregnant. However, 24 hours before, we start seeing a change in their behavior. They start getting a little more restless, they start nesting a bunch, and once we start seeing that happening, we know that a little one is on the way. So once the cub is born, we start a 24/7 watch on them, and Ellie and I actually split that for the first 10 days. It's really important to have consistency in the watch so you can notice those little changes, and polar bear cub births are very rare, and only about 50% of them actually survive. So those first 10 days are very critical because they are not thermoregulating on their own yet. So on this shift, I'm taking the 4 a.m. to the 4 p.m. shift, and since I have little ones at home, Ellie is nice enough to take the 4 p.m. to the 4 a.m. shift. And then our 12-hour shifts turn into like 13, 14-hour shifts, because once we get together, we like to talk about what we've been seeing. But some of the important things we look at are the nursing times. We want to make sure that the cub is getting plenty of milk, and that those nursing times are followed by good periods of rest, usually about an hour and a half, 2 hours in between the nursing times. And then while the cub is active, we're looking to make sure that it has strong movements, that its vocals are strong, that it's pushing on its legs, holding its head up high, just to make sure that the cub looks healthy and that it's growing, which it definitely is. It's getting huge. So we love to talk about all that and share what we've seen throughout our shift.
Like Devon said, we've been monitoring everything that's been going on in the den. So we've been looking for all the really important things like nursing, and then there's a lot of really cute things we're looking for as well. So when the cubs are born, they are all pink. They don't have any of the black skin that polar bear adults have, but that does start to change pretty early on. So we started to notice, at about 4 days, this cub's little nose started to turn darker, which is really, really cute. And it makes, kind of picking its face out in the video footage a little bit easier now. And then at day 6, one of the really cool things we started to notice is that it's not staying quite as tucked in with mom. And that is because the cub is starting to thermoregulate. So it's starting to be able to, regulate its temperature just a little bit more, so it doesn't have to be totally hidden in mom. But obviously it still likes to be nice and close. But we're getting some more snippets and cute little peeks of it laying on its back and, kind of moving in its sleep, which is so adorable. Yeah, it's the cutest thing in the world. And then we're also looking for, Devon just noticed the other day now that the pads of its feet are starting to turn black. So when it is laying on its back, like I just said, you can kind of see its little tootsies moving around, and you can see the nice dark pads. All signs so far are showing us that this baby is doing great. The round belly is is kind of, that's very important. That also indicates—
very round.
Yes, that the round belly indicates that it is nursing like we assume. We've been hearing, again, a ton of really good nursing sessions. But we're looking for some strength in its movements. And so we've just noticed a couple days ago, I think it was day 10, wasn't it? That it really did a nice army crawl. So we have a really cute little clip of it kind of crawling around. And it was, Mom had just left the den briefly to go get a drink. You know, she got thirsty, makes sense. And the cub kind of started to really more in a coordinated fashion, kind of crawl toward her.
I'm coming too.
Yeah, it was so cute. So it's, you know, we're seeing more coordination with it. And then one of the most exciting milestones we're looking forward to, or at least I know I am, is when the cub's eyes open. So up to this point, eyes are closed, you know, and the cub's just kind of, you know, rooting around and has to go off of smell and you know, mom's vocalizations and all of those things, which are super cool. But, you know, as soon as its little eyes start to open, it's just going to be, you know, I feel like that's when it kind of gets to see its whole world and, you know, and gets to, you know, finally, I don't know, you know, just get to know what's going on.
Yeah. So we are very fortunate that this is our 5th polar bear cub here at the Columbus Zoo that we've been able to watch grow and develop, and we are very passionate about recording all the information that we can about them because there's actually not a lot of info out there. So in 2015, we had the unique experience of hand-raising Nora, and obviously being hands-on like that, we were able to see some milestones that you wouldn't be able to see from watching the bears in their dens. That helped us in 2016 when watching Anana and her cub and Aurora and her twins in their dens. We were able to really watch out for some of those milestones that we've seen with Nora, and we're doing that again this time around, and we've seen that this cub is actually very advanced. It's hitting some of those milestones very early on, and it's growing very quickly. So it's neat being able to compare all these different cubs, compare our notes, look for trends that we're seeing, and share that information with other zoos out there.
You really can't watch this baby and not love it. It's so cute, it's so lovable. And so that's what we are really excited about. You know, we're excited for the guests to come, to see this baby. You know, just the little milestones we'll see once it's out in the yard. Its first time diving off of Pride Rock, or, you know, trying to catch a fish, or all of those little things.
Trying to dive down in the water.
Trying to dive.
Way too buoyant.
Yes, yeah. So all of those things, you know, again, you can't help but fall in love with it. And that's what we want to happen. We want the guests to come to fall in love with this baby, and just like Devon and I have been doing, want to do what they can to protect the species as a whole too. So this little cub is going to be such a bright light that, you know, will hopefully inspire the guests so that they want to do what they can to protect polar bears as well.
The success that we've had over the last few years speaks of our program, but it also speaks of the importance and rarity of every single polar bear birth. Unfortunately, there's only 20 to 25,000 polar bears left in the world. And that number might seem very large to you, but when we think about the entire globe and where they live, it's very small. You know, they're the canaries in the coal mine. And scientists are saying that by the year 2050, 2/3 of polar bears will be gone. So what can you do? It's about being inspired to care about polar bears and to focus on conservation. The Columbus Zoo's success is measured on how we can contribute to conservation, and we do that every day. So when we talk holistically about what the Columbus Zoo and Aquarium is doing, we're doing so many things. We're so proud of our staff and so proud of our conservation breeding program here to participate with the Species Survival Plan. We're inspiring our guests. They have an opportunity to learn about polar bears. And our third most important thing, I think, is being able to give back to conservation and really make a difference in this world.